Not here, but I'm talking about, I remember the time. I've been there when we took up more than one in one service. Because we didn't have enough to do what we had to be doing. We didn't have enough money to get it done. But we determined when we came here, nope. Lord, the minute you say it's over, it's over. We'll move wherever you say move. We never took up an offering. Well, except, the singers would come and we'd take up an offering for them. But we taught the principles of God. And we've lacked nothing. How many has lacked here? Say, well, we paid the light bill. We paid other folks' light bills.
Amen.
God has did it. God has did it. Because we understood. We were taught the principles. We're not operating on the world's principles. We're operating on God's principles. We were taught the principles. Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure pressed down, running over. Shall men heap into your bosom. See, that's the principles of God. The principles of God is walking after me. Jesus had 12 disciples, folks, full time in the ministry. Some of them had families. He asked them one time, I said, have you liked anything? They said, we liked nothing. You know why? Because they walked after Jesus. And he wants us to understand this morning, folks, that we better get this in our spirit because the economy is going to collapse. Maybe not tomorrow. I hope not. But it could. But the day's coming when what we have known and felt secure in the government, the way this nation's run, is not going to work anymore. But God's economy is not going to fail. So we have to learn, first and foremost, to walk in God's economy. When the money is not there, look for God to supply what you need. I mean, I know that we moved into that day where so many people feel like they're not driving a Cadillac and living in a mansion that God hadn't prospered him. I remember a time, folks, when the comfort, what we call the comfort level, was a lot lower than what it is now. But God always took care of us. I was talking to a lady the other day with my sister. And she was talking about how poor we was. I didn't know we was. When we were kids. I didn't know we was. Because we had something to eat. We had shoes and we had clothes. And we had each other. See, and most folks that I knew was in that same boat. But the level of comfort has went up. And folks is expecting Cadillacs and mansions. Well, I'm telling you this morning that God is here to provide your need. Need. And the Spirit of God within you, folks, will show you how to accomplish that God has sent for you to accomplish. See, so much. Because when the church began to operate in the world system, we got some things backwards. We got to try to operate solely for our comfort. But what did Jesus say? Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added. We got things, we put the cart before the horse. We said, God, just pour this stuff on me. I want to be rich. See, if we exalt ourselves, there's no place to go but down. But if we exalt him, then he exalts us. Amen. See? And when we get the principles of the Spirit right, folks, we can walk in peace and we can walk in joy and we can be supplied. And all through the Bible we see. See, Paul said the natural man wasn't going to get this. But all through the Bible we see where men, when they got their eyes on God and when they just began to sell out to him, accomplish mighty things. And And sometimes, you know, we get to looking at the people in the Bible and we get to thinking, well, there was something more than what we are. No, they wasn't. They wasn't even filled with the Spirit of God. They was just men like we are. But they heard the call of God and they began to seek to please God. In Judges 7, we see Gideon, who God called to fight against the enemies of Israel. Called him a mighty man of valor. And old Gideon's out there hiding, trying to get just a little wheat, just a little grain hid, because the Midianites kept coming down and taking it. And God told him to go against the enemies of Israel and defeat them. He said, I'm going to be with you. Go against them and defeat them. And so the call went out and thousands showed up to go fight with Gideon. And the Lord said, that's too many. They had enough that they might have could have won on their own. God said, I want to show them something. I mean, you know, I'm ad-libbing, but this is what it is. This is what the principle was. He said, no, if they go out with that, then they said they did it. You got way too many. Gideon, don't you know in the natural, Gideon was thinking, no, I ain't got near enough. I want all I can get. But the Lord kept sending them back until Gideon had 300. 300 against the trained armies. But if you'll read that story, you'll see who won the battle. Because Gideon began to operate in the principles of I'm trusting God, in God's principles. He began to see, Gideon understood, now if this don't work, I'm probably a dead man. But he sold out to God. And God don't know how to lose. He don't know how to fail. Because there is no power greater than his. And we see David, folks, a shepherd boy. Just a kid. That God had moved into the position. Israel was under attack again. And we all know the story. Goliath, warrior from his birth of the Philistines. David just went down there to see his brothers. But David was walking in the anointing that God had put on him. Amen. David told his brothers, said, hey, if I'm down here, it's for a reason. If I'm down here, it's for a call. See, that's how we have to start looking at ourselves. Wherever we are, if we're walking in the anointing of the Spirit of God, we're there for something. Amen. God's got a reason and a purpose for us. That's right. We'll miss the reason and we'll miss the purpose if we're not looking for it. Amen. But David, a teenage boy, who he was a sheep herder, took 5 rocks and charged the Philistine army and the giant. Not only did he charge him, he was talking trash. How many was? He run at the giant, said, I'm just going to feed you. I'm going to feed you to the animals. And after that, I'm killing the whole army. The whole host. He didn't have, look, in the natural, folks, 5 was all he could possibly took out. He didn't have 5 rocks. His sling was going to click, you know, out of shells. After 5. But he told the Philistine army, I'm killing all of you. He said, you come after me with a sword and shield, but I come how? In the name of the Lord. He said, I come under the covenant and the promise that God has given me. And when that giant failed, the whole army fled. Because it was impossible for this teenage kid to kill a giant. But when that giant failed, they remembered, he said, hey, I'm going to kill all of you. He said, he's got something going on. Folks, when we begin to walk in the Spirit of God, people will say, they got something going on. There's a difference. Something's going on. That anointing, David understood it. Now, he didn't always walk in it. That's our problem sometimes. We in and out, up and down, sideways. But under that anointing, David understood it wasn't David, it was God. And he wrote in the 18th Psalm, he said, for by thee I have run through a troop. He said, under that anointing, I run right through the army of my enemies. Run through them. He said, I have leaped over a wall. He's talking about under the anointing, what God could do in him when he allowed God. He said, he teaches my hands to war so that a bow of steel is broken by my arm. What's David said? I don't know what is impossible when I'm walking in the anointing. The devil wants to show you what you can't do. We've got to get to the place to show him what God can. When we understand when it's not even a question of whether or not I can do it, but the question is, can God do it? Then we'll make a difference. Because the question, when we ask ourselves, can God do it? Yes, He can. Yes, He can. But as long as we're trying to work things out for God, we mess up sometimes, don't we? Then we have old Elijah, and the Bible's full of the stories it tells when people begin to walk in what God told them to walk in, and just stuck with it. Just stuck with it. As Paul said, when we're done all to stand, just stand. Yeah, everything is not always just handed to us on a silver platter, but when we've got the promises of God, just stand. The promises can't fail. Right. Just keep walking. Yes, sir. You know, Elijah, came along there, and Ahab, the king of Israel, had went against God, and Elijah had called for no rain, and there hadn't been a rain for 3 years and 6 months. How many knows it gets pretty dry in 3 years and 6 months? It's pretty dry. But it was time. Elijah said, by my word it'll rain. Because, look, Elijah could no more make rain than you and I can make rain. But he understood that God had given him the authority to walk in His authority, in His power. And it was time for it to rain, and Elijah started sending his servant out. We probably all know that story. He'd send him out to look to see if he saw anything. He'd come back, and I didn't see nothing. He said, go again. He'd just keep praying. After a while, the servant came back and said, I see a little cloud about the size of a man's hand. Now, after 3 years and 6 months, a little cloud by the size of a man's hand wouldn't mean a whole lot to us, would it? That's what the servant saw. You know what Elijah saw? He saw a storm. He said, you better tell the king to get out from here before the rain stops. And he saw the storm with a cloud the size of a man's hand because he was looking through the eyes of the Spirit, and he knew God would do what God said He'd do. Tell the king to get off the mountain because the rain allowed to stop him. See, when we start looking at our circumstances and see God's supply instead of the circumstance, things begin to happen. We cannot afford, folks, to be stuck where we are. We must be able to do what God sent us to do. We must be able to lay hands on the sick and they recover. We must be able to feed the hungry. We must be able to clothe those that don't have clothes. We must be able. Can you and I do it? Not on our own, no. Can God do it? You bet you. You bet you. See, but we've lost so many folks. We've got so stuck. And when I say we, I'm talking about the body. I know we're all right here tomorrow, but I'm talking about the body in general. We've got so stuck in the circumstance that we've lost faith in the supernatural. We've just lost faith in the supernatural because we got so stuck in the circumstance. See, we've let fear rob us of the abundant faith that it takes. And after old Elijah there, we're talking about a man who just stood, who just spoke what God said and just sold out to God and what God accomplished in him. And after Elijah, over in 2 Kings, the 6th chapter, there was a prophet came called Elisha. And Israel's enemies was trying to invade Israel and capture the king. And every time that they would set up a trap, Elisha just tell the king of Israel where they were. Because the Spirit of God would tell him where they were. That's where we have to be, where the Spirit of God can tell us what's ahead before we get there. He was sent here to do that. He'll do his job if we'll allow him. Jesus said he was sent to show us things to come. If God's not surprised, folks, we ought not to be either.